watching Fox Sports, home to NASCAR, Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and FoxSports.com.
We are Fox Sports!
Let's go.
Heart rates are way up right now.
Let's go racing.
Let's go racing, boys.
First race of the year, and everybody wants to win.
2010 is going to start with me at the finish line.
No, I know it's going to be me.
No, me.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Daytona is intimidating.
Let's go.
It's down and dirty from here on.
Let's do this.
It's the Budweiser Shootout.
NASCAR on Fox is back again for its 10th year.
Hold your breath. Green flag.
You know you've missed us.
Racing goes back to its roots where it all began, here in Daytona Beach, the world center of racing. And tonight, a collection of champions and all-stars, dreamers. We're going to find out who is the fastest of the fast, from Jimmy Johnson to Dale Earnhardt Jr. to Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon, just to name a few. 24 drivers going 75 laps here at Daytona International Speedway as Fox Sports presents the Budweiser Shootout and Super Racing on the eve of the Super Bowl. Trackside from the Hollywood Hotel, and our 10th season of NASCAR on Fox. A cool evening in Daytona, Florida.
10 years, brother.
Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, the gang is all here, and we're excited about the shootout tonight. And NASCAR has loosened the reins a little bit on drivers. What does that mean for this race?
Well, it means you don't have to apologize.
That's good.
They told me I could do it. They said they were going to loosen the reins a little bit, and baby, that's the way I roll.
And Jimmy Johnson and Hendrick, those guys always tough to beat, right?
They're going to be tough to beat, but I wouldn't rule out the Fords right now. Remember, they won 2 out of 4 restrictor plate races and could have won a third. And I like Casey Kane and Carl Edwards pairing up tonight.
All right, Carl Edwards is on the pole. Kevin Harvick, your defending champ, battling the flu all week. The new season started with a bang. Darrell just talked about it. Practice during the Budweiser Shootout. We had a 6-car wreck. Denny Hamlin got into Mark Martin, so 6 drivers going to backup cars here. In the second practice session, Kurt Busch gets into the wall. Montoya also involved. We'll see if that drama will continue
I think that hurt.
tonight.
It did. That was
I
hard
think that
hit.
hurt.
So this is not about consistency. This is about going for it tonight.
No, what you got now, you got a you got a bigger restrictor plate, you got a faster car, you got a faster closing rate, so you're going to have bigger wrecks. So
What about
that's the big thing.
the guys who missed some practice time, an effect here?
Oh, big time, I think. But the thing is, you've got 25 laps to get it right because Mark Martin, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, they got to go to the back of the pack. I think they'll be okay. They'll ride around there, get their cars worked on. They'll be around for the final 50 laps.
All right, a week from tomorrow, of course, the Daytona 500. Earlier today, qualifying, the front row set for the Great American Race at 51-year-old Mark Martin, topping speeds of 191 miles per hour. The first pole ever in his career for the Daytona 500, his 26th try in the Great American Race, and his teammate from Hendrick Motorsports, Dale Earnhardt Jr., starts on the front row along with him.
Well, tonight they start near the back. They will hook up, and Mark will push Dale Jr. to victory circle.
No way.
All right, well, you'll have to watch closely. All right, just a short time ago. You guys are starting already. We got a whole season to go. Danica Patrick, one of the biggest names in open wheel racing. Her highly anticipated stock car debut in the ARCA season opener here at Daytona. She started from row 6. She wound up 6th in the race, Darrell, as Bobby Gerhart won the race.
She made me a believer. I didn't know if she could handle a stock car or not, but the way she got that car out of control, straightened it out, came back, finished 6th, I'm a believer.
The nationwide in Daytona?
You go, girl. I mean, I don't think so. I think they'll be looking at taking her to California instead of here. That's what I think.
The water gets deeper every time you go to a different league.
You go, girl, you go daddy.com.
That's it.
A happy birthday, Darrell, a day late. He's heading up to the play-by-play booth with
older and better.
Fox with you live here in Daytona. 32nd Budweiser Shootout getting ready to roll and start this year. And temperature in the 50s. Jeff Hammond, former crew chief, a little bit of a wind, 15 to 20 miles per hour.
I'm really looking for these cars to run faster than we're thinking because this cool temperature is going to make some more horsepower.
Some of the faces smiling before they battle their fellow competitors and roll around this track at high speeds and full contact with pride and patriotism. Let's head trackside now for the opening ceremonies of the start to the season.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Patrick Air Force Base Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend L. Ronald Durham of the Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Daytona Beach offers tonight's invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, we come in prayer believing that you hear and answer always.
Bless the drivers with your protection. Guide them and direct their paths today. Set your angels before them and protect those who race and those on the track. Give the drivers skill and wisdom and allow each one to finish unharmed. We praise you and thank you in the name of your Son, our Savior. Amen and Godspeed.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Grammy Award winners, the Zac Brown Band.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. excited about the season, as are we here. NASCAR on Fox, our 10th season. We'll get the Budweiser Shootout rolling from Daytona in just a moment. Fox welcomes you back live here in Daytona. The Budweiser Shootout, 24 drivers who have won something rather successful. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, the gang all here excited about the 10th season of NASCAR on Fox, are the guys who call it. As we head upstairs, the gentlemen
at the top of the hill.
At the top of the Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. Guys, hope you're ready to roll again for another season.
Thanks, Chris. Certainly we are. In this 24-car field, there are 8 former winners of the Budweiser Shootout, led by Tony Stewart with 3. Darrell Waltrip, you competed in this race a dozen times with a victory in 1981. How do you win it?
Well, I like this race because there's no points. It's only about the trophy and the money and the glory. And that's, I wish we had one of these a month. You know, every month we'd have one race, no points. But that's what makes tonight so much fun. Plus, the cars are super fast right now.
Yeah. Larry, you're going to learn everything as a crew chief every time that car goes out on the racetrack, but what do you most need to learn in these first 25 laps to get through the next 50?
Well, in the practice that we had on Thursday night, there were some ill-handling driving race cars. And as Chris and Jeff talked about in the pre-race, we've got some cars at the back of the pack that had to go to backup cars. They've not even seen the racetrack. So the thing they want to do is learn all they can for that first 25 laps. And then unlike our normal races, we get that 10-minute break. Make those adjustments. That's when you take the gloves off. But we do know this. In that 50-lap second segment, there will be a pit stop. Could be caution, could be green. That could be critical in who wins and loses this races.
Try not to make too many enemies in that first 25.
All right. 28 drivers are eligible for this race. 24 will start it. We start with the 12 chase drivers from 2009. We add in former Sprint Cup champions who are still active. And then 3 drivers who have won the Budweiser Shootout in the past, plus drivers who have won Sprint Cup point races at Daytona. Sprinkle in the reigning Rookie of the Year, Joey Logano, and you have 28 drivers eligible. 24 of them are competing. Everybody strapped in, ready to go for the first checkered flag of 2010. Everyone waiting for these words.
And now, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Grammy Award winner, Zac Brown of the Zac Brown Band.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
NASCAR on Fox, ready to roll with the first race for the Sprint Cup drivers of 2010. Next. The engines have fired. This grandstands have a nice crowd and a lot of anticipation in the crisp, cool air here in Daytona Beach. These drivers drew for starting positions Thursday night.
16.
16. 11. 2-1. All right.
That's not a 2.
That is 19. Hey, well, not too bad.
That's about my average start in this race.
What do we go? Good job, buddy. Well,
4 six-packs full of bottles and flags lined up there on the speed stage. And Carl Edwards, as you saw, drew the pole for this year's shootout. Let's get downstairs to our NASCAR on Fox All-Star pit crew, beginning with Chris Devoda.
Well, Mike, hard to believe anything would make a 4-time consecutive champion nervous, but Jimmy Johnson says it's just that, a case of the nerves that continues to this day to keep him motivated. Johnson and his wife Chandra expecting their first child this year. Johnson expecting a second Budweiser Shootout win tonight. To Matt Yoko.
Chris, no drivers look more forward to coming back to Daytona in 2010 than Matt Kenseth, who won the Daytona 500 last year. Came out of the box with that big win, but they didn't have the season that they had hoped for. Now they're back at the beach, and they're looking ahead to next weekend, as crew chief Drew Blixendorfer told me. They are really looking for some good notes to come out of this race. Build on that notebook for next week as they go after another win in the Great American Race with this new package. Steve Burns?
Well, Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is trying to bounce back from a disappointing 2009 season. As crew chief Lance McGrew said, it is critically important that they get off to a hot start. He's already qualified for the front row of the Daytona 500. The car, when they unloaded it for tonight's race, was not good, but they have gotten it to the point where he can be aggressive, Dick Berggren.
Here's your underdog to cheer for. Kurt Busch crashed heavily in practice. He is in a backup car. That car has never before been raced. He starts all the way in the back of the pack. 5 times he's been second here at Daytona, never won. Maybe tonight he drives car number 2.
Thanks, folks. 24 cars rolling off behind the safety cars. Let's have a look at the Budweiser starting grid for tonight's 32nd Budweiser Shootout. Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon starting out back. Backup car for Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Juan Montoya, Casey Kane, Derek Cope, and Kyle Busch in row 9. Jimmy Johnson, Michael Waltrip, Kenny Schrader, the '89 winner with Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte and Dale Jr., John Andretti with Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth and Jeff Burton in the 4th row, Mark Martin, the Daytona 500 pole sitter with Greg Biffle, Ryan Newman and Brian Vickers, and on the front row, Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. Now, Harvick did not practice, but since he was the named driver who earned the start on the outside pole, anybody can practice any car. Harvick keeps the spot. If they had put a replacement driver in for the race, that driver would have to go out back.
Yeah, both of his teammates drove that car in practice. Clint Boyer in the first practice, and then Jeff Burton in the second practice.
Let's see how he feels. What do you say? Hey, Harv, it's DW Fox Sports. You got a copy, bud? And Kevin Harvick, DW here. Come to me.
I got you.
Listen, all my colleagues up here are a little bit worried about you, wondering how you feel. What's your temperature like tonight?
Temperature's cold, but it's not from not feeling well. Just feeling good. I got a little bug there a couple days ago, but I'm feeling back to 100%. So we're ready to go. Ready to race our Shell Pennzoil Chevy hard tonight.
That must be a fast car. It's taken 3 drivers to get it up there. Hope you can keep it up there, my man.
4, thanks.
Harvick had flu-like symptoms Thursday and was unable to practice. Clint Boyer ran the first session. Then he had to go race his modified at the dirt track, so Jeff Burton hopped in it and gave it a shakedown. Here's the way tonight's race will line up.
There you see it, 75 laps, pit road speed 55 miles per hour. The pit window for Sunoco Race Fuel 38 to 42 laps. You see to the rear those 5 cars right there, and a lot is because of the going to the backup cars. Those were backup cars that never got on the racetrack, but because the 1 car of McMurray, the 29 of Harvick, and the 16 of Biffle did get out on the racetrack for practice in their backup cars, they can start where they drew.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it's 3 drivers and 2 cars. So Harv's got, he needs to win this thing just to pay the bills.
And then it looks like the 42 car made adjustments after NASCAR impounded the cars, so he'll have to go to the rear in that 42 car.
We mentioned the 28 drivers were eligible for this race. Jeff Bodine tried to put a ride together with Tommy Baldwin Racing, but sponsorship did not materialize for that effort. Bill Elliott and the Wood brothers putting all of their efforts and concentration into the Daytona 500 this year. Terry Labonte is here. Saw him wishing his younger brother Bobby well in this race, but is not competing, nor is Sterling Marlin. Those are the 4 active drivers who were eligible to start this race but are not in the field.
And it paid off for Bill Elliott and the Wood brothers because 54-year-old Bill Elliott qualified 4th today in qualifying.
Awesome. Bill is awesome again.
Krista?
Well, Mike, you guys have documented the fact that Denny Hamlin is in a backup. His car wasn't the only thing limping after a wreck in practice. Denny nursing a torn ligament in his left knee from a basketball injury just recently, last month. He has a brace, a custom brace he uses while walking. He's not using it in the car tonight. He said it's too bulky. It makes him too restrictive. Hamlin bracing for what he hopes will be also his second shootout win. He won in his rookie year in 2006.
The team says, J.D. Gibbs said that torn ACL, because the movement of the leg in the race car is mostly up and down, no loading to the side, shouldn't be much of a factor for Hamlin.
It's just a clutch, and you know, probably be all right. I don't know about the road course, but other than that, it'll be all right.
Well, I think he's going to make it okay, because when you watch the end of 2009, that could be the biggest threat to this 48 car in 2010 for this championship, the way they performed. They got to tie it all together, but they had some great runs.
The driver who shares the last row with Hamlin is Jeff Gordon. Matt?
Gordon chasing his 3rd win in this event, Mike, and there's different agendas up and down pit road. Some guys are trying to learn for next week. Steve Letarte says the only thing we're doing tonight is trying to win this race. Nothing in this car tonight will teach us anything for next week. Due to the time change in the 500 and everything else, tonight it's all about getting the trophy. Dick?
Teenager Joey Logano is going to start in the 21st position. He has had a terrific 2010 so far. A couple of weeks ago, he got himself involved in a bobsled competition, won that last weekend. They had a major event out at the Toyota Irwindale Speedway in California. He won that too. Logano is 2 for 2 so far this year.
I like starting in the back, and I tell you why. When you're back there, you can pick and choose where you want to go and work your way right to the front.
You know, we saw where Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 car is going to go to the rear. He's the only driver in this 24 car field that's making his first Budweiser Shootout start.
And you think about, well, what about Logano, who's Rookie of the Year? Well, last year, because under last year's rules, the Joe Gibbs team that Tony Stewart vacated was eligible. Logano was their driver, and his first appearance in Sprint Cup racing was in this event, the Busch Shootout.
And you know, last year I think he just wanted to not wreck,
right?
Because he had had a lot of trouble in practice. Tonight, pretty sure he wants to win.
Wants a whole lot more.
He's ready for a win.
Whole different Joey Logano sitting in that 20 car 365 days later from last year.
All confused last year, all composed this year.
The Budweiser Shootout began as the Busch Clash, the brainchild of Busch beer marketing genius Monty Roberts. Let's have a pole-winning race. Let's run it for a whole lot of money and no points, and let's run it before the Daytona 500. 9 cars squared off here in 1979 for 20 laps, 50 miles, and I think a big payday won by Buddy Baker. And from there, this has become an event that everybody looks forward to, at least until the drop of the flag. Then we'll see what happens.
I think it's so cool that we start our season with a race where, you know what, you're not worried about points. Nobody cares about running second. I couldn't tell you who finished second last year.
I think it's a good way to get the rust off, though. You know, you've been laid up for 90 days, haven't really been out on track, haven't been competing. Tonight you can kind of get out there and roughhouse a little bit if you want to.
A little bit cold. Air temperature 56 degrees. The wind's been blowing hard here all day. We've seen gusts actually earlier today up to 25, 30 miles per hour, and that will play with these race cars at the speeds they're going around this track.
And that's when they make max power, about 56 degrees.
Steve.
Well, Mike, DW was just talking about playing a little bit rough. The team just told Dale Earnhardt Jr., go up there and get it. We don't need to bring this car home, he said, 10-4.
All right.
Man, the driver's under a lot of pressure.
Now, Darrell finished second to Buddy Baker in that first Busch Clash, and you're right, Larry, we had to look it up. Jamie McMurray finished second to Kevin Harvick last year.
Yeah, and Baker led all 20 laps. I tried to trick him into letting me lead one. He wouldn't even do it.
Well, it's been a long winter and it's been a long layoff for NASCAR on Fox. But as the cars roll up through the 31-degree banking into turn number 4, fellas, it's that time again.
It is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the field now coming off of turn 4. Get to your feet. And as the drivers come to the green flag, let's keep it all around.
Darrell, it's been almost 9 months. We've got the biggest restrictor plate since DW won the Daytona 500, and they are fast. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
All right, drivers. Mr. Edwards, Mr. Harvick, y'all be nice now. Hold them down. Hold them down. Wait on the flagman. Wait on the flagman. Get ready. Get ready. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing in 2010, boys.
In the backstretch, Edwards edges ahead.
And if these cars look fast, folks, they are. These babies will be hitting 193, 195 mile an hour in a tight draft.
Kevin Harvick in that outside line just didn't get up to speed as quickly as Carl Edwards on the inside.
And this is the very first laps, as we talked, that he has made in this race car when he took the green flag.
I think that outside line will pull back up there. That inside always has the advantage on the start because the guy on the pole gets to go first. I believe that outside line will have some, it will come to the front here very shortly.
I think you see right there how much these cars bounce and juke around, and this is at over 190 miles an hour in the corners.
3 wide mid-pack.
There's Kenny Schrader and John Andretti back there. Everybody will be pretty nice to each other right now, except if you get in the middle like Juan Montoya is in the 42.
3-car breakaway, Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers, Greg Biffle.
That's the good thing, though, about this bigger carburetor restrictor plate. You can pull back, but Montoya in that white 42 car, he has no help in the middle back there.
Everybody that I talked to that said they got stuck in the middle like that, it was very uncomfortable.
Running the third of 25 laps, then a 10-minute break, and then 50 laps to finish it.
There, you're probably going to see some sparks out of these cars for the first few laps because they got tire pressure pretty low, and you'll probably see a lot of sparks out of some of these cars.
I think we're seeing it with Kurt Busch in that 2 car.
Oh my gosh.
Remember, that's the first laps that race car's made, so they're just sorting things out. That 10-minute break will be welcomed by that team.
Oh, they'll grind that down sooner or later, but it may do more harm than it does good. Got us a nice little wad here, boys.
All 24 cars tight together as we complete 3 laps, but Kevin Harvick has just not been able to pull Ryan Newman and the rest of that outside lane up toward Carl Edwards.
For about 10 laps here, you'll be able to run like this. Right now, you can hold the car wide open, nice cool temps, got a lot of grip in the car, tires are new. As the tires go away, that's when things get hairy.
You know, Darrell, I know in the pre-race that Jeff liked the Roush Fenway cars, you like the Hendrick cars, but I've been watching that 31 car right there of Jeff Burton that's running fourth as we see Jeff Gordon pushing that 11 car up through there. Remember, that 11 car is a backup car.
That's Bobby Labonte in 71 backing up.
I tell you, one place I think we got to keep an eye on, guys, is into turn 3. Everybody told me that these cars with the bigger plate are getting into 3, that you've actually got to lift out of the throttle a little bit to keep the car from running up the track.
And that's been the direction that the wind's been blowing, so you really got to push down into turn 3.
Jeff Burton has broken to the outside. He's picked up 2 spots. He sits in 3rd in the 31.
And that's the car that I was talking about. That car was driving for him good the other night in that practice session.
Really was handling well, Larry. You're right.
In the number 1, last year's runner-up, Jamie McMurray. He's worked the outside as you watch Biffle, Earnhardt Jr., and Smoke, Tony Stewart. McMurray goes back to the outside.
I think he didn't go to the outside, Mike. He just slid up there. He couldn't keep it on the bottom. It's going to open the door for Burton maybe, or for Harvick maybe. He's down there now.
I've been watching this 14 car. These cars, they have a fin down the left side, the back window, And it almost looks like that there's something loose there or there's something on it. You see it right there, Tony Stewart, the 14.
The side window's not loose, is it, Larry?
I don't think it's a side window, but there's something back there flapping in that C-post area.
Up front, Jeff Burton has taken the chase to Carl Edwards. He's brought the 1 of Jamie McMurray with him. Burton on the outside of Brian Vickers in the 83.
Well, right now, that 31 car, Burton, it'll go anywhere he wants to. Take it to the bottom, jump up to the outside.
In the first practice Thursday, that was the best car here.
Fastest car in practice.
Good job. 2x2 behind you now.
No pressure for Carl Edwards.
Well,
maybe a little bump or two. No pressure.
No pressure for you. That was a pretty serious little lift off the ground right there.
And here comes Harvick on the bottom. Oh, Burton got a bump from McMurray, and that squirreled up the 31 and backed up the field behind him.
Yeah, that's that chain reaction thing. You got to really watch it. You'll get run over from behind, even though you're not doing anything wrong. This is the kind of racing that I thought we would probably see with this bigger plate, this new aero package, different shocks, a lot of things different on these cars this year that have really made them stick together and look like they're going to have a great race.
3 cars have lost the draft: Juan Montoya, Bobby Labonte, and Derek Cope. So there's 21 of them lined up from Carl Edwards back to Kyle Busch.
You know, Darrell, when I see Kevin Harvick in that 29 car, you talk to him under the pace laps. That's something they do a great job. They might not have a fast car, but they have a good driving car, and he's the defending champion of this Budweiser
Well, and
Shootout.
just think about Larry. Last year he won this race. We didn't even talk about him. He just all of a sudden came out of nowhere.
Literally on the last lap. Teammates at Roush Fenway Racing, Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, the 2 Fords side by side for the lead.
Well, you know, Jack Crouch was the owner of those 2 cars on our trackside show last night. He said, DW, they've got the new R9 engine in these cars down here for these preliminary events. He felt like they had made a lot of progress. The restrictor plate program was pretty strong.
Behind Edwards, Kevin Harvick, who last year started 27th and led only 1 lap, the last one.
I'll tell you another car that's becoming a player, started pretty deep in the field, is that 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. He started 16th, and he's up there already in the top 5 in the 8 laps we've run.
To steal one of your favorite phrases, he just quietly works his way up there.
Well, and I'll tell you, somebody else that quietly followed him was Casey Kane in that 9. He started back in the 19th spot. We're riding with Jimmy Johnson here, who's in 4th.
There is Kane, whose Budweiser car is a Ford this year.
I really think that if they can have some reliability and not have a bunch of bad luck, that 9 car could be a big player this year.
At the front, Carl Edwards. At the back of this draft and in danger of losing touch with the leaders is Kyle Busch. Steve, what's up?
Mike, he just told crew chief Dave Rogers, he says, I'm turning 8,800 RPM. I think we have the wrong gear in it.
And you have a choice of the gear ratio in the rear end. You can run a 364 or 370. It almost sounds like they went with that lower gear, and in the draft it's just turning too many RPM.
I know what all the crew chiefs in the past would have told me. We can't do anything about that right now, so just go on up there and do the best you can.
And they can't even do anything about that at the 10-minute break.
That's right.
10 laps complete when they come to the stripe. 15 to go before the 10-minute break. And 6 cars now have broken away from the pack, led by Carl Edwards, who went winless last season after a great 08. And Carl do it again in 2010. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. 14 laps complete. Carl Edwards still the leader, but a new challenger on the outside of Kevin Harvick is the number 14 of Tony Stewart.
For that 99, he's been doing what I like to call working both sides of the street. Whichever line gets to move, and that's the one he'll hop up in front of. I don't know what he's going to do here shortly, though, because that 14 looks strong.
10 laps to the competition yellow and the 10-minute break when they come to the line.
Tony really got off turn 4 then, Larry. Car's handling pretty darn good.
And speaking of handling, you and I were talking during the break, 15 laps into this run with 10 of that break. This is where we felt like that if your car was going to develop a handling problem, if it was going to start getting real loose or start shoving the nose, this is where it would really start showing up.
Yeah, this is when they say, anybody seen my handle?
One fellow who's looking for his is Greg Biffle. He started up near the front, Steve, and now has fallen back.
He has in fact lost that handle, Mike. He said his car has gone from tight and now it's loose, Christavoda.
Steve, Jimmy Johnson got some early help from Mark Martin. When Mark went to the back, he was able to push Jimmy to the front. Chad Knaus just said, Jimmy, help is coming.
In the form of the 88 car, I think. Looked like he was coming pretty good.
Now it's Mark Martin drifting back. Looking over at Ken Schrader from Martin, who is fading to the back of the lead pack after 16 laps. And Stewart becomes the first driver to pass Carl Edwards tonight.
Well, he got up alongside of him anyway.
Well, he was ahead for a second or two.
It's drag racing now.
Darrell, we talked about him, that second car in that outside line, that 9 car that, as Mike mentions, a Ford. That car looks awfully strong.
It's just something about Kenny Francis and Casey Kane.
48 struggling back there to keep up with you two on the bottom.
Their car always handles, and this is a handling deal right here, boys.
You heard Kevin Harvick's spotter. What about Harvick, Matt?
Mike, he told me on the grid that the only thing that he has a hindrance with tonight is his stamina, but it's a short race, so there should be no issue due to the flu-like symptoms he had. Billy O'Day, his spotter, was telling him, sizing up the other cars. Right now, just keep it on the bottom. That's been the best lane. Just keep it right on the yellow line, because that's where the 48, when he was good, was right on Harvick's bumper.
Derek Cope has gone to the garage. Engine trouble as Stewart and Edwards muscle each other for the lead.
See, watching Tony Stewart reminds me of watching Dale Sr. I mean, he will side draft you right off the racetrack. And you do it to yourself. I mean, he just gets over and puts so much pressure on you, and that's what he's doing right now. Watch him close down on the side of that 99.
Edwards edges ahead as we cross through 18 laps.
I think the cooler temperatures tonight, and this is a new tire that they brought here this year, I think that combination is allowing these cars to really stay bunched up. Plus the bigger plate, you got a little bit more give and take with that throttle.
Yeah, even though this track doesn't have much grip, the cooler weather will give it a little more grip for these guys.
And the bigger plate allows you to not have to just run over somebody keeping it wide open all the time. You can play with the throttle, and that's a big plus.
Wind was a factor earlier today in pole qualifying for the 500, won by Mark Martin with Dale Earnhardt Jr. second. Not so much a factor right now. Jimmy Johnson in fifth.
It's just amazing, and as a driver, how good your car can be when you get with the right car. But when you get in the wrong spot, you look like Dale Jr. You just can't do anything. Same car was running good, headed to the front. All of a sudden, you get in the wrong line, you go backwards.
But this is also, you could hear him getting out of the throttle. This is what we saw with his car in Thursday's practice, is the handling went away well into a run.
What's the problem, Steve?
Mike, quite simply, Dale Earnhardt Jr. said his car has gotten very loose off the corners, loose.
And that's what he fought on Thursday, especially off turn 4.
Now he moves under John Andretti, trying to pull up to his Hendrick teammate, Mark Martin, in the 5.
But you know, if it's just loose off of the corner, that's pretty easy to fix. If it's loose in, loose in the middle, you know, if it's loose everywhere, that's a whole different story.
Edwards Stewart. It's a 2-car race, and then everybody side by side behind them with Harvick and Kane, the first pair. 5 laps till the competition yellow.
It's kind of like a Muhammad Ali fight right now. Some of these guys are laying on the ropes, kind of rope-a-doping, waiting for that 50-lapper.
They've got Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car. He's stuck in the middle right now. Car, I'm impressed with him. We were watching him earlier. Is that one car on the outside? He's had his hands full, but he will not give up in that backup
No,
car.
and he just got a nice shot right there from Brian Vickers in the 83 and pushed him right by Michael in the 51 down there, Michael Waltrip.
This is Jamie McMurray's first race in a Chevrolet in that bright orange #1. He left Roush Fenway at the end of last season and the Fords, and now drives for Earnhardt Ganassi.
Well, Billy Bass has got his hands full, I can tell you that.
But I'm going to tell you what, Darrell, you mentioned him just for a brief moment. Your brother, Michael Waltrip, in that 51 car, it wasn't that many laps ago. He was at the back of the pack, and now he's fighting his way to the top 5. Right now, all Michael has on his schedule, the Budweiser Shootout, and hopefully the 500 next weekend.
You think he's good in the 25? Wait till the 50. He's got a good little setup for his car. Really works good on a long run.
There's Jeff Burton in that cat Chevy. He's 5th, though now 6th. He ran up toward the front in the early laps. Jeff Hammond?
Yeah, Darrell Waltrip.
Yes, sir.
Jeff Hammond down here in the Hollywood
Roger,
Hotel.
go
Sir,
ahead.
how you doing?
10-4.
I just want to ask you a question. What 2 cars are up front right now?
I knew where he was going with that question.
Hey, I got to get it in while I can, Larry.
Yeah.
I told you the 9 and the 99, you better watch them.
Hey,
this
Jeff,
could be a dangerous combination.
Can I ask you something? How much is this first 25 laps pay?
It don't pay anything, but I'm glad to see him up toward the front. Now it could make things a little interesting, but I like Casey Kane. I think that they've got something. You already touched on it. Kenny Francis and he put together a really good combination on his super speedways and mile-and-a-half program. I think the combination of Yates' power will help him give him an opportunity to win this race tonight.
Whoa, boy. Ooh. That's edgy.
Yep, Stewart dipped that wheel to the yellow line and then made the pass under McMurray. Brought it back up above the double yellow line. That is the no passing zone.
Let's those guys working the throttle. See, before you could not do that. Now you got some acceleration when you let off of that thing. Really gives you some options.
We're coming to 2 laps to go before that 10-minute break.
I tell you, a guy that's impressed me. I mean, he's running on the outside, but is McMurray in that one car. He's got his hands full, but he will not give up.
But is anybody here hungrier than Carl Edwards? After a winless 2009, and he was many people's pick for the championship last year.
Look at McMurray.
Couldn't get it done.
Look at McMurray. Here he comes. He just drove around Casey Kane.
Boy, Tony Stewart just threads the needle going off into turn 3
and
at 14.
He just drove through Casey Kane.
How did he do that?
Yeah. Who is that guy? That was pretty cool right there.
Now, during the 10-minute break, they'll be allowed to perform normal pit stop work on these cars, but they will restart in the order that they finish the 25th lap. That was so good. I got to see that again.
Oh, this is a hey, watch this moment.
Watch the 14.
The hole was closing up. He gets there, and the hole opens up.
This is a nice move.
Inches apart, 190 miles an hour.
But yeah, we're
trouble.
Oh, there we go.
Michael Waltrip goes around off the front bumper of Joey Logano.
Is he safe?
Safe.
Caution is out.
Missed everything, bud?
Oh, I got a couple of things I didn't have earlier, but.
First caution of the night, it's for Michael Waltrip.
You think he got a shot, Larry? I couldn't see way over there.
I've got to believe he probably did.
Let's have a look at what happened coming off turn 2. There's Michael with Joey Logano.
I think he just got loose.
That thing just turned around, Larry. I don't think Logano touched him.
No, I'm sure he didn't.
Look at all those. What are those tear-offs flying off of that car?
Off the windshield, yeah.
But yeah, that car just jumped sideways all by itself.
Oh, you're right. There was no contact until just there.
Yeah, well, Logano did get in him, but that wasn't what caused it.
No.
Right.
But one of the greatest things they've done here is all of that asphalt to the inside of the exit of the corner.
Need to pave it all. Pave it all, take away all the yellow lines and let them race. That wouldn't be a good idea. I just thought I'd say that.
All right, the yellow is out, and this will be the competition yellow. The cars will come to pit road. We'll come back and tell you all about it. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, the Now Network. 25 laps complete. Carl Edwards, who drew the first starting spot, also had his first pit stall right there. You see them working on his car. And he has led every one of the first 25 laps. Here's Matt Yoakum.
And Mike, the 14 car, Tony Stewart's team, their game plan for this pit stop was to go live like it was a normal race where they weren't in a break, to knock the rust off for this first stop of the day. As Darian and Tony are talking, Tony said the car a little bit tight, but they can obviously fix that. They've already made a chassis adjustment. Also working on the tape, Jeff Mandering, the car chief, and some of the other crew members working on the tape on the nose of this 14 machine. But Smoke is pretty pleased with this car so far.
Ooh, well, they're adding a lot of tape there.
Well, I think
Maybe
as cold as it is, you know, again, the more tape you add to that nose right there, it's going to help the drag on the straightaway.
Yeah.
Steve?
And Mike, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale, towards the end of that run, we heard you say it had gotten loose off, but then again loose in, and then Lance McGrew said you guys are going to take a big swing at it here.
Yeah, we'll see. We hope so. 15 laps into that run, that's a 25-lap run. That's just barely over half a fuel run. We got to run 40 laps in this next segment. And in 15 laps, I was so loose. I was afraid I was going to take myself out and a bunch of other people. And so we kind of fell to the back there to see if I could, you know, drive it or try to make a rebound near the end. But it's just wrecking into the corner and off. So, you know, I was having a hard time just kind of keeping on to the draft. It was so loose there at the end. But we're going to make a big change. We had the car handling good in the last practice. And I ran the thing out of gas. I mean, we ran it all the way to 40 laps, and it handled really good. So that was a little disappointing right there. We'll just have to see if we can fix it and get up in there and you know, race them a little bit. It looks like you either need to be leading, or you can sit back there and save a little bit. And you know, the guys that are running in the middle are just we're not going nowhere. We're just wearing our stuff out. So that's not really doesn't look like a smart thing to do, but we'll just have to see what's going on.
All right, thank you, Dale. Let's go to Krista.
Well, Steve, Carl Edwards has held him off for 25 laps, so the question is, Carl, can you hold him off for another 50?
Well, yeah, I hope. You know, this Scott's Ford Fusion is really good, and my guys have done a good job. And you know, Casey, it looks like he's going to line up behind me. His Ford looks really fast, so yeah, I'm gonna do the best I can. I've been working pretty hard there. I know it looks easy, but it is a little bit of an art to try to keep those guys behind me, but that's the most I've ever led at a Speedway, and I'm having some fun with it.
And the only thing Carl asked for when he got out of the car, a restroom.
In his 3 prior shootout appearances, he'd led a total of 12 laps before tonight, where he's led the entire first 25. It's Carl Edwards over Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, Jamie Mack, and Kevin Harvick with 50 laps to go in Daytona.
We thank you for giving us a great day for racing.
Protect each and every driver tonight. Amen and Godspeed.
2010 NASCAR on Fox. We're live in Daytona, and at the break, 50 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout. 24 drivers, second largest field in the history of this event. All drivers who have enjoyed success but competing tonight for the top prize. That's Carl Edwards, who had the pole and led every lap in the 25-lap segment. Casey Kane in a fellow Ford making a move, but the move of the night so far entertaining is Tony Stewart splits a couple of cars to try and gain ground, a narrow move with success. The only caution at the end of this first segment, Michael Waltrip slipped a little, then Logano got into him, bringing out the caution to complete the first segment, led by Carl Edwards, followed by Tony Stewart and Casey Kane. And Jeff Hammond, it looked like the shark fin on the back of Tony Stewart's car was missing, and the official said you need to put one on there.
Yeah, Larry Mack and Darrell were talking about what they thought they saw something flopping around on the 14 car, and that's exactly what happened. It looks like it broke off. I saw them taking the base piece off. They've run to the truck. You see the guy coming back from the garage area with a replacement piece. So hopefully they've got enough time to put that and replace it. But NASCAR walked up and said, guys, you're not racing without it.
That's there for safety, no advantage if it's off, right? I mean, it doesn't help.
It'd be hard to say without having wind tunnel numbers, but I think that car's going to be fine. You see the guys right now there. He's locked out, so he's going to do what he has to do.
He's hustling.
This is what you call going the extra mile to get it done.
There's a guy who's really doing his job well. Last year, Kevin Harvick was 24th after the first segment. Chris. They're not wasting a second here. I mean, these pit crew guys.
If they'd hauled, I could let them borrow one off of my cutaway car.
Yes, Forrest Gump, if he had a moment to appear at a NASCAR event, which could have happened.
Oh, this
reminds you
this is going to be a little anxious right right now because they're starting to line these cars back up. It'll take them about a minute to put this thing back on. So I think they're going to be okay. They got the drills set up there, so 14 will be fine.
All right, we'll continue. Tony Stewart currently second. As I was mentioning, Kevin Harvick last year was 24th after the first segment, made up ground and won. So there's a lot to cover here over the next and final 50 laps of the Budweiser Shootout. Hold on to that shark fin. We'll continue live from Daytona in just a moment. The Budweiser Shootout, sponsored by the new comedy Cop-Out starring Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan in theaters February 26th, by the Home Depot, more saving, more doing, the power of the Home Depot, and by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150. Budweiser Shootout going on tonight. A week from tomorrow, it's the Daytona 500, the running of the Great American Race. And as NASCAR gets back to its racing roots, the way it's meant to be, Grammy Award winner Tim McGraw performing live. Our pre-race show beginning at noon Eastern 2010. Another season of NASCAR on Fox. Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the front row. Tonight, Kyle Busch currently 21st, upset about the way his car is going.
Work on the exit. Everything for the exit. I don't care if we put new shocks on it. I don't care what we do. Fix the exit. I can't get under anybody. I can't turn up off the corner at all. Something hugely wrong that I've never had here in these cars before. I don't know what it is, man.
All right, working with a new crew chief. Sounds like he may have the wrong gear. They'll get it figured out. Segment 1, pretty tame. Segment 2, they'll unleash the Lions in the Budweiser Shootout. And there is the crew chief, Dave Rogers, with Kyle Busch, and we will continue live from Daytona Beach. Again, Carl Edwards, your leader after the first segment, as we get ready to go the next 50 here at the Budweiser Shootout.
We're half a lap away from the green flag. Carl Edwards has led every lap. That's likely about to change. But for Carl, Darrell, everybody moved up and back through the field. What do you move when you're moving around in traffic? What do you learn?
Oh, it's kind of like dancing with the cars. You know, you find somebody that you can dance with. That's what you're really trying to do. Who can I get hooked up with that will get me up past that 99? So far up to him, but not past him.
Speaking of dancing around, I saw a lot of cars dancing around the last half of those 25 laps. And like Dale Earnhardt said, we've got to go a lot further this time. In fact, we've got a full fuel run, and there will be a pit stop, as I mentioned at the top of this race.
And if that comes under the green flag, it'll be your first one of the year.
Yes, worried? For the drivers that don't speed on pit road.
50 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout of 2010. Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart bring them down to the line. Green flag. We're back to racing, and Casey Kane gives Carl Edwards a pretty good shove toward turn 1.
I guess you could say that they're teammates. You know, they got a lot in common now. Both Fords. They got Roush Yates power, and that 99 just will not relinquish the lead to anybody.
And I say we'll see about the same thing at the beginning of this segment as we saw at the start of the race, especially when everybody has fresh tires and the cars are handling. Carl will probably stay right on that yellow line. He'll hug the inside.
Carl Edwards with the lead. Jamie McMurray trying now on the outside with help from Brian Vickers.
Brian Vickers in that 83 car has been a great pusher. He's not been able to push himself to the front, but he's been doing a great job of pushing other cars up through there.
Krista?
Jamie McMurray, what he said during that break, he came in, he said, don't mess with it much. It's a little loose on the bottom, but it's fast. Whatever you do, don't change it.
She's a little loose, all right, then. Loose is normally fast if you can hang on to it. He's trying to figure out a way to get by Carl. He may have just weaseled his way in there. He did.
And he's going to get some help from that 9 car, Casey Kane. Casey will not move up off the bottom.
Ooh, McMurray is waltzing right now. Look at him.
He's got his hands full.
Well, he said he was loose on the bottom, and there he was on the bottom. But he's, I'll tell you, he is wheeling that car tonight.
Edwards leads the lap, though.
Not for long.
McMurray and Kane on the inside.
Whoop, coming back.
Dick?
Casey Kane has really said nothing about the behavior of his race car other than to me during the break, and he said that the car was very good. That should be pretty obvious. He has come from the back, run up front all night long. Never won here at Daytona, but tonight he's got a great shot of it. Now he's in the middle.
Yeah, he got stuck in the sucker hole as Stewart and Harvick moved to the bottom, the 14 and 29, and McMurray dropped to the bottom to pick them up.
He saw him coming. He said, I'm going to get the push from you.
Matt?
Mike, during the break, Kevin Harvick said his car was great the first 15 laps, and then all of a sudden it started to go crazy loose, and it just kept getting looser. During the break, they found that he had a cut right rear tire. The only other adjustment he wanted, an old pair of gloves. He started out the race with a new pair, and it started cramping his hands. So he had his coach driver run back and get an old pair of gloves, and he's good to go. He says, if I can get this car to the front, we should be gone. It's a rocket ship.
I don't reckon I've ever heard of that.
Here comes McMurray, hook, line, and sinker to the lead.
You know, I said it was going to be dancing with the cars. This is dancing with the wolves. These guys are hungry, man. They want to go. Two car just went around the 11. I mean, squeezed between him and the wall. That was a big move. Wouldn't surprise me to see that two car of Kurt Busch get up there, because he's a really good restrictor plate racer. Got good results on a restrictor plate track.
Good job, man. You're clear.
McMurray spotter. I love this. All these laps to go and no clear favorite, no clear leader. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 23 cars running under 2 seconds from each other. But McMurray's having to do the same thing that Carl Edwards did in the first segment. He's having to try to figure out which lane's moving. He's going back and forth from the top to the bottom.
Well, he's getting, actually, when you're out front like that and you got two cars lined up behind you, you're actually getting a push from both those cars. It makes it very difficult for somebody to get around you, as we saw with Carl Edwards. There he goes. He kind of slides up there, breaks Carl's momentum, and here comes Carl back.
I believe they're going to trap him in the middle now.
Whoa, I don't like the looks of this. That's tight off that corner.
McMurray didn't make the cut to the bottom soon enough, and Tony Stewart forged to the front with an assist from Kevin Harvick. Now he surrenders back to Edwards.
Look at that side draft that Carl Edwards in that 99 got. Shot to the outside and catapults, but here comes Brian Vickers in that 83 car. He's going to try the same technique.
These cars are really, really getting into 3 at a high speed. Probably close to 200 mile an hour would be my guess.
Now we've only run 5 laps since they dropped the green flag for the second time tonight. What will these cars be handling like 25 laps from now?
Not good. I mean, that's what separates the cars. Who can hold it wide open the longest? How many laps can you run holding it wide open? If you had a trace on it, the guys that can hold it wide open longer, the trace would be longer. That's the guys that just run off and leave everybody in the end.
Dick, how about Brian Vickers?
Well, as we got closer to that 25-lap break, Mike, Brian Vickers was on the radio telling his crew that the tires had gone away and the handling had gone with them. So we'll keep an eye on that number 83 and see how he does as we get closer to 25.
Yeah, that's kind of the magic number, Doc. I mean, you know, somewhere around 15 to 25. Oh, got a car.
Kurt Busch.
Holy cow.
Got tipped, slides to the grass. Caution is out.
Hang on, hang on, hang on.
He's in the fence.
Sloopy.
Clip this, guys.
Thursday night in practice, Juan Montoya tipped Busch into the outside fence, a very, very hard hit. And tonight he does the 2,500-foot slide for life and gets into the barrier at a much slower speed.
Let's see what happens here.
Left side of your screen.
He was squeezing up that outside. Ooh, he just... Mark was in the middle. I mean, wasn't it? Mark, where's Mark going to go? He can't go up, he can't go down. He was sort of in the middle. That was kind of strangers in the night there.
And with the hood up over his windshield, Kurt Busch couldn't see where he was going. Tried to scrub as much speed off as he could.
Yeah.
Kurt is out of the car. He's okay, but look at this wild ride.
Second car that Kurt has crashed in a very similar situation.
Caution out as Kurt Busch finds his way into the barrier for the second time this week.
I think Mark was trying to squeeze in behind him.
The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. 34 laps are complete. We're under the second caution flag of the night, the first of segment 2 of the Budweiser Shootout. Carl Edwards has led most of the way from Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Brian Vickers, and Jimmy Johnson. The first caution was for Michael Waltrip, spin off turn 2. This one for Kurt Busch, being tipped by Mark Martin, sliding through the grass, and finally into the safer barrier toward the exit of pit road.
I'll tell you what this caution does. Now, pit road has been closed for the last couple of caution laps because of the cleanup going on, but what this will do when they do open pit road, let's take a look at this first, and then we'll talk about this caution.
Yeah, what you're going to see is the two cars out here. And here's Mark Martin right here in the 5. And if you watch, Mark starts, I think Mark thought he could get in this little gap right here, and he just timed it wrong. It wasn't quite enough room, and he clipped Kurt on the left rear there and shot Kurt down into the grass. Watch this splitter. It'll dig in, and watch it when it does. The hood blows off the car. All that grass came up underneath the car and up through the hood. And then he can't even see where he's going now, let alone try to stop it or drive it.
Boy, that was so close with his brother Kyle Busch in that 18 car. He shot right across in front of him. Now, pit road is open this time. I think we will see everybody come to pit road because this puts them in a window of being able to make it to the end.
He's got it all locked down, so that's still a pretty good impact.
Yeah, but I'm glad they got the safer barrier right there. That's
and
good
here
deal.
they come. It's feeding time.
Dick Berggren.
Brian Vickers pits out at the 4th position. He is going to take 4 tires and make no adjustments to the race car at all. They get another yellow, he'll pit again. Matt.
And the chassis adjustment already completed on Stewart's car. He said the condition was the same as last time, but they weren't sure if it was the shark fin that came off that caused the downforce issues. Krista.
The focal point for Carl Edwards this year, pit stops, 2 new tire changers, a new jackman on this team. This is their first test. Carl Edwards a little free.
Michael Waltrip chose not to pit and stayed on track.
TV time.
Looks like everyone else came in. Second caution of the night. 40 laps to go in this year's Budweiser Shootout on Fox.
The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. It'll change your life. By FedEx, we understand you need reliable shipping options. FedEx. By Lowe's, for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together. And by Chevy and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
39 laps to go in Daytona. Krista, what did Mark Martin say about the contact that sent Kurt Busch spinning and into the wall?
Mike, he said, and I quote, "I got into him." And then he asked his team, is he okay? Did he hit hard? The last thing he said, it was my fault.
That's one thing about Mark Martin. He will man up. If he makes a mistake, he doesn't mind admitting it.
Pace car pulls in. It's Carl Edwards side by side with Tony Stewart once again. Now, Michael Waltrip did pit before the green flag. So did Ryan Newman and John Andretti.
You know, a good gauge of horsepower and who's got good power is a restart. And right now, that 99 car of Carl Edwards seems to have just a teeny bit better restart and a little bit more power on the restart. That's usually a good gauge of who's got good power.
Mentioned also Jamie McMurray had trouble getting up to speed coming out of the pit, so he had to restart at the tail end as well.
And I think Chris Devoto was telling us that he was having maybe some trouble with some ignition boxes. He was having to swap over to maybe the backup system.
It's 2010. It's time to do it again. What do you say? You crank those volume knobs and we crank it up for you. Boy, Kyle Busch looked like he got into the back of Jeff Burton, and Burton now slides to the tail end of the line to gather it back up.
I think he's trying to catch his breath, although it looks like he may have a little damage on the car now.
Watch the 31. That's Jeff Burton, and the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Kind of caught in the middle here. The 31 is. I'm not so sure. He might probably. Yeah. He got hit from all angles.
Yeah, it's Kenny Schrader in that 82 car right behind him, and I think you're right. I think he's got a left rear tire rub, and the caution is out.
That's because Jeff Burton spun it off into the infield grass.
I think you'll see that the left rear tire might be down. That contact, I believe, cut there.
But you know, honestly, that caution could be a blessing for him if he had a tire going down, because he was going to come to pit road under green.
When he made that contact, that splitter cut that tire down.
As the caution flies for the third time tonight, Dick Berggren has caught up with Kurt Busch.
He has just exited the care center. Mark Martin has expressed his apology, has taken responsibility for the incident. What was it like inside the car as you were sliding through the infield?
Oh, the hood just popped up and I couldn't see much. Just trying to stay out of the wall, but we slid up into it. The momentum took us up there, but I don't know. I thought I was in the high lane, and I got on the high side of Mark going through turn 4, and I don't know if I pinched him. He wanted to come up, but it's not fun. I'm making more laps in the ambulance than I am out on the track. Sorry, Roger. I got 2 burned up cars, and we still do have our primary and our primary backup, but man, not a good average right now. So just looking for this week to be over, and we'll start up next Wednesday.
Good attitude. Thank you.
Kurt Busch knocked out of the Budweiser Shootout early. Here's why we're under caution this time around. It's for Jeff Burton. After contact, you saw the puff of smoke at the right rear, and around he goes.
The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. Well, it's the wildest collection of talent ever assembled at trackside. Singers, dancers, comedians, and a whole lot more. In the show, it's about to grab America by the muffler. It's Fast Track to Fame, coming soon to Speed. With Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, Carl Edwards has led all but 1 lap so far. Here's a guy who couldn't win a race last year. He was your pick in the pre-race show to win, but is he a sitting duck right now?
I think he could be right now. He lost his dancing partner. I think that he didn't have the 16 of Greg Biffle up there. Casey Kane's kind of slipped back through there. Those 3 Chevrolets lined up right behind him. I think they're trying to figure out how they're going to take this lead away from him. He's going to have his hands full.
Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike. Guys?
Thanks, Chris. Making pit stops under this caution, Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Burton. Carl Edwards is trying to become the 3rd driver to win the Budweiser Shootout from the pole. Darrell Waltrip, 1981. Bill Elliott, 1987. Ken Schrader, 1989. Carl trying to become the 4th driver to pull the pole and win the $200,000 first prize.
What was interesting about those pit stops is you talked about Ryan Newman. All they did, Tony Gibson and that group, is put a little more tape on that nose because the air temperature keeps coming down, so you can keep adding tape to help the aerodynamics of the car.
I think I remember right in 1981, this race paid $75,000. It might have paid $100,000. It went up a little bit there early on.
Edwards has led all but 1 lap. Jamie McMurray led a lap early on. 33 to go. Pace car pulls in. Darrell, you won $71,000.
71.
Someone tonight will take home $200 grand. We're back under green.
Keep seeing that 48 car just lurking back there. Jimmy Johnson.
Tell you what I see also. I see the 24 car easing his way, just kind of slowly, methodically. He's looking for old Jimmy Johnson. There he is on the outside there behind Greg Biffle in the 16 car. Don't count those 2 boys out just yet.
Yeah, because Jeff Gordon in that 24 car started on the very last row of this race, with the exception of the backup cars that was moved behind him.
Second car on the outside line behind Kevin Harvick. That's Greg Biffle. Steve?
Mike, on the previous caution, Greg Biffle told his team, you have got to free me up. I'm too tight. So they made an air pressure adjustment and a chassis adjustment. And now where you see, he said to spotter Joel Edmonds, I have got to get to the top of the racetrack. I'm too tight on the bottom.
Boy, these two guys at the front, Steve, Tony Stewart in that 14, Carl Edwards in the 99. Tony's making that car about twice the width that it is.
I don't know of anybody out there that I would think I would want to try to wrestle the lead away from. Tony Stewart's the best, and once he gets out front, he is hard to get by.
Well, if he's the rock, then Kevin Harvick is the hard place. Because Harvick is a take no prisoners kind of driver when he can sniff the lead.
And he's been right there the whole race. He started up on the front row. He and Carl did, and they haven't drifted far back in the field.
Darryl, you're right, though. That 24 car, Jeff Gordon, he's just methodically been working his way up through there.
Yep, he's just looking for an opening. I think he's got a fast enough car. I think he'd like to really get down there and help Jimmy is what he's hoping to be able to do, or vice versa, but they'd like to be able to work together, I'm pretty sure.
He's got his teammate, Mark Martin, pushing him now.
Gordon and the 24 have been in every shootout since 1994, Matt, 17 of them in a row.
Mike, his biggest complaint, just losing the nose. He says when he tucks up underneath someone, he absolutely loses the nose, has to touch the brake to try to get that nose down. That's his biggest complaint at this juncture.
And probably the deeper they go into this run and burn that fuel load off, that could get worse.
Watch your middle there, watch the middle.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was looking for major changes to his car to get it toward the front. So far, not so good, Steve. He is in 18th position.
Mike, he doesn't like his race car right now. He says it feels like the right front spring is trying to do what the shock needs to do. I don't feel pinned down to the racetrack.
Now, Carl Edwards was behind Tony Stewart in that 14 car. He shot to the outside, and now he gets kicked all the way to the high side by the 24 car of Gordon.
Gordon just, I mean, that was a power move right there, baby.
And he didn't leave an inch between his rear bumper and Edwards' front as he moved up to the high side.
That was a whole lot of taking and a little bit of giving. That
Third
24.
leader of the night is Kevin Harvick in the 29.
Look at the run that Tony Stewart at the bottom there in the 14 gets. A short way around this racetrack.
And the Biff pops into second place behind Harvick. For a moment.
I really think what's trying to set up here, though, is those two Hendrick cars. Whoa! Man, who was that just took off up the hill? It was at the 9-car Casey Kane.
He did, and that made everybody behind him have to jump out of the throttle.
These babies are all over. They're getting looser and looser as we go near the end of this run.
Dick?
Well, Casey Kane said that the nose of his car is bouncing off the racetrack. He's hitting the splitter that makes it hard to handle.
And that's just how the handle goes on these cars. That was a car that was running up near the front, racing with he and Carl Edwards. Looked like they had the two best cars. All of a sudden, where are they now?
Denny Hamlin looked to the inside on Vickers. No room there. Hamlin in the 11. But Harvick now holding the bottom groove, and he's got Stewart in tow. You think they'll work together for a while?
Until this thing gets down near the end. But what I see on that front row there with Harvick in the 29, Biffle in the 16, two guys hungry to win a race. They went winless in 2009.
Matt.
Mike, when Harvick was on the outside of Stewart, Stewart's spotter Bob Jeffrey said, I believe the 29 would love to be on the bottom. And then when he had the chance to get down, Billy O'Day, Harvick's spotter, said, no, stay on the outside. That lane is moving better at this point. That's exactly what he did. Finally, when things shuffled out, then he said, clear, get to the bottom.
Getting to the back is Kenny Schrader. He's got a one-race ride in the Red Bull number 82. Was up there right in the midst of it, got caught in the middle and loses some spots.
I think the old hound dog smells some trouble.
Oh, boy, look at Montoya. He got Edwards bad loose. I think he actually got into the back of him.
They got that bottled up everybody right there. That was almost it. I'm telling you, old Kenny Schrader, he's a pretty shrewd old dude. Yep. He sees what's going on up here.
That may allow a 5-car breakaway at least for a moment or two. Harvick, Biffle, Stewart, Gordon, Johnson at the front. Nope. With this bigger restrictor plate and the new aero package, the field comes right back to them. Watch the 99. Here comes Montoya in the white car right up behind him.
Going to get a little bump right here. He's going to get a run underneath him and going to make a little bit of contact. Doesn't take much.
Boy, it wasn't much at all.
And that backed everybody up there just for a second, kind of wadded them up, but they sorted it out, and no harm, no foul.
Krista, how's Carl Edwards 99?
Well, he's just, if this is a dance, Mike, right now he is definitely, I guess you would say, doing the bump. He is just getting shuffled out of position. Jason Adleski, his spotter, said, don't give up the middle right before he got shuffled out to the outside.
In the middle, I tell you, everybody I talked to said, you get in the middle, it's like death-defying to be there.
Carl Edwards led all those laps and now finds himself in 16th place.
Yeah, he's drifted to the back. Just that's what happens when you got a car that gets up front and it can run, and you get shuffled to the back. He may work his way back, but it'd be doubtful.
24 laps left. That's a lot of time. His owner, Jack Roush, has one win in the Budweiser Shootout. Mark Martin scored it in 1999.
Now, if you want to see a guy that takes, y'all can do what you want to out there, just have at it to heart. Watch that white 42 Target car. He is not afraid to put the bumper to you.
Earlier today, the Colombian, Juan Pablo Montoya, Formula One ace, qualified 5th for next Sunday's Daytona 500.
And he's a lot like those two guys at the front, maybe even hungrier to get a win. He's not won since Infineon back in 2007, the road course.
He's won at Monaco, he's won at Milwaukee. When will he win on a NASCAR oval? We'll see.
Oh, boy.
4 wide.
Oh, boy, when they start swinging in and out like that, that's when somebody gets in trouble. Somebody runs out of place to swing.
That's Denny Hamlin in 11 car. Remember, started at the back of this field with this car that had no practice laps in it.
Where's that? You know, look at Jeff Gordon, just keeps closer and closer.
Gordon second in the outside lane, 4th overall.
And Jimmy Johnson is back here trying to get to him to help him.
Meanwhile, back in the pack, some drivers like Casey Kane has engine number 9 about to come off the tracks right here.
Oh yeah, that thing has just gotten evil.
Bad loose.
I think we'll see more of that.
And turn 4 has been the trouble corner for a lot of cars getting loose off the exit of that corner all week long.
Actually, Larry, I think we can just see that one better. I'm not so sure. They're
probably doing the same thing.
I think they're doing the same thing off of it. We just see them better off of this one. Pretty fascinating that one car can get out front, kind of control the pace, keep everybody at bay. Edwards did it forever.
Comes Denny Hamlin in 11 car, shoots to the high side.
He cut out in front of Greg Biffle. See if he can get a push from the 16 to catch up to Kevin Harvick here.
I'll tell you what, that thing is coming now. Got up on that outside, got a lot of momentum down the back. If he can get a little help here.
They're going to pass Harvick. So far, they're going to have to do it on the high side. He has not moved off that yellow line because he knows if he does, his buddy back there, Stewart, will take advantage of it.
That yellow line's your best friend, buddy. You only have to protect the right side.
20 laps to go when they come back around, seeking the first checkered flag of 2010 and the $200,000 first prize. Last year's winner, Kevin Harvick, out in front by a narrow margin, 0.2 of a second. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox continues after this. 20 to go. Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Brian Vickers continue to lead with 16 laps to go. But while we were gone, trouble for 2 of the contenders. Watch the 99 of Carl Edwards, the green car, on the outside of Jimmy Johnson.
Boy, that's a big move by Carl. He thought he was going to be able to swing all the way to the bottom and get by the 48. I don't know if he anticipated the 48 not giving him enough room, which I wouldn't have if I'd have been the 48.
And then Mark Martin's car stopped running.
Still 3.
The car just shut down on him.
Got one more coming inside. Good. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it came out of gear or what.
We got a battle up here.
Is it okay now? Yeah. Yeah, I guess I've never had it come out of gear like that. It didn't rev up, but it shut off.
So Martin is a quarter lap down as the battle's on.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Stewart got a bump. Was it from Vickers as he tried to battle the 29 of Harvick?
Did he get in the wall? I didn't see any dust or any sparks, but man, it was close if he didn't.
And Matt Kenseth has come back into play. He's the second car on the inside in the 17.
But he's one of the cars that pitted on that last caution, got fresh tires on that 17 car, just like
so did McMurray.
Yeah.
That's got to pay some dividends here at the end of this race.
Not many laps, but a little bit's a lot.
It is. 5 extra laps on those tires will make a difference.
14 to go. Let's have another look at what happened to Tony Stewart.
I thought surely he hit the wall, but apparently he didn't, because the car looks like it's all right.
Stewart alongside Harvick, and yes, there was contact.
But he did not hit the wall. Wow.
Ryan Vickers.
That was a bump draft that went awry.
He did hit it with the right rear, but I think where he hit it, it hadn't hurt anything.
He kissed it.
Just slapped it.
He just get a little kiss on it.
But now remember, during the offseason, NASCAR told the drivers, you monitor and control the bump strategy. We're out of it.
Hamlin, Edwards, Montoya 3 wide. This could be big.
It's just amazing to me. Look at the difference in the players we got up here now. Now we got Brian Vickers up on the outside. Here's McMurray coming back, who got those fresh tires at that caution period. And Carl Edwards and so, whoa,
look at the run that Montoya is giving that 48 car up the backstretch.
Man, it was like a turbo.
Bump and draft.
And now
Jimmy Johnson
to the bottom.
You go on. Get out of here.
And Montoya does just that in the 42.
These last 10 or so laps are going to get exciting, guys. Not that these not that the other 70 haven't been.
12 to go this time.
And now Montoya's picked up Denny Hamlin as a drafting partner, and they are right on the back bumper of Greg Biffle. Hamlin back to the inside with Casey Kane, the red car.
It's kind of like a high-scoring game. Who's going to, who has the ball last?
And you see a little bit of something going on there with the right side of the hood of that 42 car. They did have some damage on that car after that little incident the other night.
Tony Stewart has to deal with Brian Vickers now side by side. Stewart has Harvick behind him. Vickers has McMurray on his tail.
I tell you, McMurray and the Brian Vickers in the 83 car there on the outside, they could be trouble for Tony Stewart. Matt Kenseth's right there on the back of McMurray's bumper in the 17.
11 laps to go, and there's only about 20 cars that can win this.
That's what I'm really happy about, keeping the cars bunched up like this. A lot of times here on these long runs you get strung out. Not tonight.
And that 9 car of Casey Kane, he's worked his way back up in there.
This is just a warm-up for next Sunday, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500 on Fox. Here comes Harvick, high, wide, and handsome.
Boy, that one car, McMurray, is so loose.
He pushed Harvick right up there, but he had to lift.
Look at Vickers stuck in the middle. Look at that one car.
And McMurray sideways and almost around. But it's Harvick back to the lead with 10 to go. Brian Vickers was second. He got sideways there, crossed the line in 9th.
He gave that one car a heck of a push.
And that 17 car just gave that one car, McMurray, a heck of a push, getting off into 1 and 2.
3 drivers have won this race back-to-back. Kenny Schrader, 1989 and 90. Neil Bonnet, 1983 and 84. And Tony Stewart, 2001 and 2002. That's a very exclusive club Kevin Harvick's trying to join tonight.
McMurray's car, it steps out a lot, but it's catchable. It kind of steps out, gets a little loose, but he's able to save it.
9 to go this time. Harvick fights back on the bottom.
This is when handling is absolutely at a premium. And that's why that one car is able to hang up there like he is, I believe, with the car not handling as well, because he got those 4 tires. Got a little bit of advantage.
Middle there. You're in the one or even.
8 laps to go when they come back. In 5 of the last 7 shootouts, the winning pass has come within the last 5 laps and twice on the final time.
I think that 9 car, Larry, he complained about his car a little bit. The front end was not gripping, but I think what he realized is it may not be perfect, but it's better than everybody else's.
How about one more crank it up just to get the season started?
Heck yeah, it's Saturday night.
The 2 cars at the front, Kevin Harvick and Jamie McMurray, both figured in last year's finish. It was McMurray that Harvick passed on the last lap to win the shootout.
And of course, McMurray was in a Ford driving for Roush Fenway. And when you look at that 1 car and the 29 car, their engines come out of the same engine shop.
Yes, sir. And they're making some ponies, too.
Big steam.
You have to be impressed with the job McMurray's done with a car that I'm not so sure it's all that stable, but he's been able to hang on to it.
But Jeff Hammond talked about it in the pre-race. Those Fords, you see 3 of them back there, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Kenseth, Kane, and Biffle.
We've talked all day during qualifying and tonight about the bigger restrictor plate, the new aero package, and the higher speeds this year. Darrell, does that change where you want to be at the white flag? 1st, 2nd, or even 3rd?
I don't think so. It looks to me like the guy in front is almost, unless you get a good bump draft and get knocked by the guy in front, looks like he can hold off the guys behind him. We've seen it with the 99. We've seen it with the 29 here. Harvick.
Whoa, we got Michael Waltrip, the 51 car. The 5th sideways. Caution is out. He hit the wall pretty hard back there.
Man, Mike.
I can't believe that just happened, man.
John Andretti may also have some damage. Slowed way down and dropped to the apron.
Yeah, I think this is a good little breather before we go back to green.
Caution is out with 6 laps to go. This will be the 4th one of the night. And look at the right front damage to Michael's car.
Right back here. There's Mikey. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, 39 just hooked him.
And he got hard into John Andretti.
He went over and got on top of John. Ooh, I'm not sure about that one. That was definitely a misjudgment on Newman's part. I mean, Michael's just sitting there not doing it. You know, he's minding his own business, and here come Newman, just hooked him.
Looked like Newman may have been trying to get a little separation on John Andretti. Got a little too much.
I think he was trying to swing to the bottom and pass both those guys.
Side inside. I can't believe that just happened, man. I mean, I cannot believe that.
Michael justifiably upset as a driver and also as the owner of that car.
Well, and I'm not sure how many cars they have down here for Michael, because you know, he's going to run the 500, but they don't have a lot of backup cars for him, I don't think.
Now here's what's interesting. We've already seen how much fresh tires means. Now we only have 5 laps to go. I think you'll probably see the guys at the front stay out, because we're only going to have about 2 or 3 laps to go. But I bet you a lot of guys in the back come, and we know how much fresh tires. It maybe don't make you faster, but lets you drive your race car.
Feigning at the line, Harvick, McMurray.
Holy
and
cow.
they're coming.
Here comes everybody.
They left Biffle out on the racetrack, and Casey Kane did not come in. Let's start with Matt.
And Kevin Harvick's game plan, if they were going to try to stay out, he wanted to stay out. They're going to go right side tires only. Stewart is going to go right side tires, and they're going to put some fuel in it to put a little more weight in the back to help with the nose weight, because he was a little tight near the end there. Harvick's away, Krista.
McMurray is on fresher tires than most of the field, but they decided to come in just for 2. No fuel, 2 tires for Jamie McMurray.
Great stop by McMurray.
It looks like most everyone elected to go with just 2 right side tires. I did see the 42 car of Montoya change 4 tires.
So only Greg Biffle and Casey Kane stayed out. Everyone else came to pit road. 4 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout.
A week from tomorrow, all the big names are back. We get ready to kick off the 10th season of NASCAR on Fox with the 52nd running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. And on the front row, Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. The Fox pre-race show gets things going at noon. A huge performance from Tim McGraw, the Daytona 500 on Fox. Can you imagine 500 miles of what we're seeing tonight? 24 drivers in the Budweiser Shootout got things rolling. We've already had 5 leaders and 11 different lead changes. Tony Stewart with a move of the night, just splitting a couple of cars. Michael Waltrip, who caused the recent caution moments ago, bringing out an earlier caution coming out of turn 2. Kurt Busch, though, somehow survived this, Jeff. He was okay after getting bumped by Mark Martin.
Mark Martin, you see him hit the infield grass, hood flies up. He can't see where he's going. He slides up in the outside wall. Second crash of the weekend.
And again, Mark Martin taking full responsibility. And here, Jeff Burton gets a little bump. They put it in the hands of the drivers. Kyle Busch aggressive.
Beating and banging right now going on. That cat car went around in turn 2. Lost the left rear tire, spins the 31 car out, but he was able to recover.
So 3 laps to go under caution. How does that change things for, it looked like Kevin Harvick. Now with Biffle staying out, Harvick, it may have made his situation a little bit more tenuous trying to repeat in this race.
I think it will be, but I think this guy right here is going to wish he had come and got him some tires. I know he pitted earlier, but I don't think his tires are fresh enough to handle the guys behind him, and I think it's really going to be a dogfight with him losing out in the end.
All right, let's check in with Steve Burns.
Well, Jeff, you're exactly right. When Greg Biffle saw everybody else peel off down pit road, he said, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
All right, and Kevin Harvick, who was in trouble battling an illness all week, has showed up and run a nice race here. So who do you like given our scenario with Jamie McMurray right behind Casey Kane and Biffle?
Well, right now I'm kind of liking that 9 car as well as Harvick. I think there may be the battle, and depending on how Jamie McMurray, who he helps, could wind up being the winner here. Jamie McMurray's fast, but these 2 guys, the 9 and 29, are going to have something to say about it.
And what about the Budweiser car?
I think he's going to be good. I mean, I really do. Casey Kane right now has been strong. He started 19th. He was able to work his way up, but I think this last pit stop, we're going to find out on top of that who made the right air pressure adjustment with just a few laps to go.
One of the Fords you talked about in the pre-race show running well here. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
So Biffle and Kane will share the front row for this restart, but both on older tires. McMurray, Harvick, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Brian Vickers are the top 10. 2 laps to go when they come around. Who wins it?
I don't know, but you know, Biffle's doing an interesting thing here. He's taking the outside. I don't know if that's a good move on this short run or not. Bottoms look pretty good on these restarts.
Now the leader has lane choice.
Yeah.
Only the leader for the restart. Everybody else falls in line. So Kane will have to restart on the inside, and because there's just 2 laps to go, regular NASCAR rules will get 1 attempt at a green, white, checkered flag finish.
Plus he sets the pace. Biffle does. So when they come down, you can't beat him to the start-finish line. So that's a small advantage that he might have.
That could be the one friend that the 9 and the 16 has, is that bunch of wild animals behind them. They do have to go 2.5 miles without wrecking. And of course, if we get a caution anytime in that point, it's where they're at the time of the caution.
And watch these hot tires. These 2 guys in front. They didn't stop. They could spin their tires. That could cause a big bottleneck too.
All right, they'll wave the green. Next time by the white, and then the checker. Here we go. Greg Biffle ahead of Casey Kane at the line. 2 laps to go.
There goes Harvick. 29 car drops to the bottom.
Gosh, there's no surprise, is there?
Tell you who's up on that outside and come up with a big head of steam is that 24 car. I've been watching him. That car's fast on a short run, particularly. There you go. Harv's going to get a good bump from the 9.
Come on, 9. Yeah, outside.
Come on now.
Oh, there goes Biffle.
There you go.
All right. Too much
Caution's
of a push.
out. Caution's out. So the race is over. Wherever they were at the time of caution.
Race is over, and they're all wrecking. This looks like Days of Thunder all over again.
And Kevin Harvick will become the 4th driver to win back-to-back Budweiser shootouts. A flat right rear tire to Greg Biffle may have set off that chain reaction collision entering turn number 3. Let's sort this out, Darrell. There's Biffle on the outside ahead of Jeff Gordon.
Getting a big push from Gordon right here. And, of course, Kane gave Harvick in the 29. I don't know if the Biff had a right rear down or if he just got lifted off the ground, because the 29 was all, I mean, the 24, Jeff Gordon was all up in the back of him getting in the corner. And I noticed when Biffle came to the pit road here, I didn't see the right rear tire like it was down. I think he thinks that's what happened, but I bet he changes his mind when he sees the replay.
It might be because it was completely off the ground.
Yeah,
like
see
I
right,
said.
you can see right there, it's not flat.
And look, he spins right up and in to his 2 Roush Fenway teammates, Matt Kenseth in the 17 and the 99 of Carl Edwards.
I don't reckon I can remember how many cars we've torn up here in the last couple of days. I mean, that's many cars in a couple of days down here.
See Mark Martin, a 5, 2 of the Roush Fenway cars.
Bobby Labonte, Kenny Schrader, Brian Newman all involved.
'16 car looked like a punching bag.
The action was all in the high lane, and Kevin Harvick scores a record 7th Budweiser shootout win for Richard Childress Racing.
I reckon he feels pretty good. What do you think?
I think he feels a lot better.
Those flu-like symptoms have become winning symptoms. 200,000 of them. We'll be right back. Kevin Harvick tonight led twice for 21 laps and made the winning pass with 2 laps to go. Last year he won the Budweiser Shootout and went on to finish 2nd in the Daytona 500. After a smoky burnout and a spin through the grass, he heads for victory lane, where Steve Burns awaits.
Well, Mike Joy, this is one happy race team, and Kevin Harvick back-to-back Budweiser Shootout wins. I know everybody says this race is just for fun, but what a great way to start this season.
Yeah, I mean, when you go through the year like we went through at RCR last year, and just everybody hanging in there, Shell, Pennzoil, Chevrolet, all the fans, everybody from Sprint, and just everything that makes this sport great. But I got to thank my team. They did a great job. Wrecked a car in practice. I was sick on Thursday. Didn't even get to sit a lap in this thing, and man, the thing was a rocket. And the best thing about it is it handled really well. So just got to thank everybody, Coca-Cola, SKF, Jimmy John's Champion, Sherwin-Williams, Reese's, Realtree, everybody who helps make this thing go around.
All right, congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you.
Back upstairs.
First win with crew chief Gil Martin, Kevin Harvick the victor. Darrell, NASCAR said they were going to put bump drafting back in the driver's hands.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure what happened there, that maybe the 16 had a flat tire. I just liked what I saw tonight. A lot of great, exciting racing, and a sick little man won the race.
In more a lot of great action. I remember saying with five or six laps to go, there's still 15 cars can win this thing.
Yeah.
And there's no question there was. But what I like is some interesting stories that in that top 5, the top 5 finishers. We talked about Kevin Harvick never turned a lap in that race car. It was a backup race car. Then you look at Jamie McMurray, his first run for Earnhardt Ganassi in a backup car, finishing 3rd. Denny Hamlin finished 5th in a backup car. He never had turned a lap. In fact, Joe Gibbs Racing, through all the melee, they ended up with all 3 of those Toyotas in the top 7.
And I'd like to say that this was totally unpredictable, but, you know, I'm thinking a big crash on the last lap of the Bud Shootout.
And just think, next Sunday we'll have twice as far to go, more than twice as far in the Daytona 500.
And it was a bit of a nightmare for Jack Roush, who saw 3 of his cars taken out in one crash on the final lap. Let's go back downstairs. Dick Berggren.
Well, Casey Kane was unhappy when he didn't pit for tires toward the end. How about now with all that action happened behind you?
Yeah, it actually worked out great for us. We had a great Budweiser Ford the entire race, and I was having a blast out there. The racing was good. Side by side, there was a lot going on, and we were right there. Even on the restart there, Harvick got in front of me, and I was pushing him. I was right on the white line. So then I was like, man, the tires aren't too bad, and so I was happy. But the Roush Yates Ford is definitely an improvement. That's nice to have.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thanks, Dick. So 8 cars in that last wreck. And actually, as we look at the unofficial results here, it took 3 drivers. Kevin Harvick had Clint Boyer and Jeff Burton help him out during the week when he was sick for them to win a 188-mile race.
All I can say right now is that that's what happens when you got good teammates. Somebody like Jeff Burton getting into that final practice, kind of put the finishing touches on it, and he took full advantage of it right there. Got that 29 car up front and stayed there all day.
His last win was in this race last year. Kevin Harvick was 5th after the first segment, the 25 laps. He was 24th the year before. Somehow he said it was a rocket. He rode it into victory lane. But I talk about racing back to its roots. How about racing back to the wrecks? The excitement that we have in a week from tomorrow, the Daytona 500, with great speeds and great action. What do you take from what we've seen so far this weekend in this race?
Well, we're going to see, like Larry McReynolds was trying to say, 500 miles of this next Sunday. I think the fact that these guys can pull up, they can move the cars around, you can go from the back to the front, it's going to make for an exciting day. And everybody wants to lead the Daytona 500. Everybody wants to get their sponsors out front, kind of show their muscle. I think we're setting the stage right now for a great conclusion to Speed Weeks.
Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the front row for the Great American Race. Didn't have a great night, but we should point out you have your Daytona 500 primary car, your backup car, and then you have your Budweiser Shootout car.
Yeah, you do. And all these guys brought these cars down here with the idea of what happened on that last lap. If it does, well, okay, you hate it, but you haul those pieces of junk back to your home shop, and you still got 2 good bullets down here. You got your primary Daytona car and a good backup.
All right, so Kevin Harvick, a former Daytona 500 winner, cashes in again here in the Budweiser Shootout, setting the stage for next week. And coming up, except on the West Coast, late local news, the Wanda Sykes program, Sit Down, Shut Up. Hammond says that to me every race.
Every day.
Every day, even when we're not working. And the Daytona 500 on Valentine's Day, right tomorrow, you enjoy the Super Bowl, and then the Super Bowl of racing of NASCAR, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, the hour-long pre-race show. We'll have Tim McGraw joining us. We'll talk to Jimmy Johnson, who's trying to go for maybe a 5th straight championship. We'll also talk to Dale Earnhardt Jr. wants to break in to victory lane.
Hey, take a look right here. How about the happiness right there you can see in victory lane? These guys and gals have been there before, but you can definitely see that it makes starting the 2010 season off with a big bang.
All right, so the drivers back in their hands, and the excitement meter has gone way up for the fans. Hope you enjoyed our coverage for qualifying and also for the Budweiser Shootout, as Kevin Harvick congratulating his crew. And a promotional consideration provided by these fine folks. Promotional by So for Jeff Hammond, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy, Steve Burns, Matt Yoakum, Chris Devona, and Dick Berggren, I'm Chris Myers, our entire production crew. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox. We'll see you next Sunday for the Daytona 500.